Welcome back, dear friends, to another story on our channel. Here, we share stories that remind us of the quiet sacrifices, the hidden strength, and the everyday love that builds families. Today's story is titled, Father's Bicycle, Two Wheels That Carried Love. It is about a father, a simple bicycle, and the countless journeys that carried not just his body, but his love, his dreams, and his sacrifices for his family. Sometimes, love does not come wrapped in words, but in the sound of wheels turning on a dusty road. For as long as Emma and her brother Noah could remember, their father, Robert, owned only one mode of transport, an old bicycle. It wasn't shiny or modern. Its paint had faded, its seat was patched with tape, and the chain squeaked when it moved. Yet, to Robert, that bicycle was more than metal and wheels. It was his lifeline, and to his children, it became the symbol of love. Every morning before the sun rose, Robert would climb onto his bicycle. The family lived in a small town, and Robert worked in a factory nearly an hour's ride away. Through rain, heat, or biting cold, the sound of his bicycle leaving the driveway was always the same. Emma remembered listening to the squeak of the chain from her bed, knowing her father was already sacrificing his comfort for them. Sometimes, Robert carried both children on the back of the bike, Emma clutching his waist, Noah perched carefully. He rode them to school, balancing their laughter against the strain in his legs. Other days, he strapped groceries, school books, or even furniture onto the old rack, pedaling slowly but steadily home. The bike was never just a bike. It was a carriage of dreams, a vessel of survival. As children, Emma and Noah never questioned it. They sometimes wished for a car like other families had, but their father's determination silenced complaints. He never explained his sacrifices with long speeches. Instead, he showed it. Every pedal stroke declaring, "You matter more than my tiredness, more than my desire for ease." Robert's wife, Sarah, often worried. She would wait by the window during storms, praying he returned safely. Sometimes, Robert came home drenched, his clothes clinging to him, but his eyes sparkled when he saw his children. He laughed off the hardship. "It's only rain." But Emma and Noah knew the road had been cruel. Years passed. The bicycle grew older, but so did Robert. His knees ached, his back bent, but he never stopped pedaling. He saved money little by little, always choosing tuition fees, clothes, or household needs over buying a car. The children never realized, until much later, that their father had traded comfort for their future. When Emma entered university, she often thought of her father's bike. She watched classmates arrive in cars, some even complaining about them, and she remembered her father's worn-out hands gripping rusty handlebars. She felt a swell of pride and guilt. Pride for the strength that raised her, guilt for the times she had wished for more. Then came the day Emma returned home to find the bicycle leaning in the yard, unused. Robert sat quietly on the porch, his hands resting on his knees. His health had declined, and the doctor warned him to avoid long rides. For the first time, the old bicycle was silent. Emma touched its handlebars, remembering every moment it had carried their lives forward. She whispered to herself, "This isn't just a bicycle, it's the story of my father." When Robert passed away years later, the family kept the bicycle. It was no longer functional, its tires flat, its frame rusted, but it stood in the garage as a relic of devotion. On the day of his funeral, Noah wheeled it to the front of the house. Neighbors recognized it instantly. They whispered stories, how Robert had given rides to stranded workers, how he had cycled miles to help a neighbor in need, how his bicycle was always a sign of someone dependable, someone good. The bicycle, once ordinary, had become extraordinary in memory. Emma, now grown with children of her own, often tells them the story of their grandfather's bicycle. She tells them how 2 wheels carried their family through hunger, education, and survival. Her children giggle at the image of 3 people balancing on one old bike, but Emma's voice always cracks when she adds, "That bicycle carried more than us. It carried his love." Life lesson. The story of Robert's bicycle teaches us that love often hides in the simplest actions. It's in the parent who walks miles so their child can ride. It's in the hands that work until they ache, the sacrifices made quietly, without applause. We often overlook these gestures when we're young. We see the rust, the squeaks, the imperfections. But with time, we understand. Those imperfections were proof of endurance, of love that never gave up. So look closer at the simple things your parents did for you. Maybe it was a bicycle. Maybe it was late nights at work. Maybe it was going without so you could have more. Behind every quiet sacrifice is a love larger than words. Thank you, dear friends, for joining us in this story. If it touched your heart, take a moment today to remember the small sacrifices your parents made, the ones that seemed ordinary but were extraordinary acts of love. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional family stories. And remember, love doesn't always arrive with grand gestures. Sometimes it rides on 2 wheels down a dusty road.